everyone, as you can see I have now finished the chest and these tentacles that I hadn't done before. The only thing I did, which I may not have made very clear when I went through it, was this black here. I did slightly lighter than the black on that side, just in the same way that we did it differently on the rim, just so that it showed up and you could see that it was a corner and that it was a sort of different side of the chest. So that was that. I had a little think about other elements while I was colouring, so I'm going to show you a few bits and bobs. Let's zoom in a little bit. The first things that we're going to do are this lock and this handle. Make sure that your Posca is dry before you start doing this, or else you may end up smudging the silver. So I hope mine is. Yes, it should be. So what I'm going to do with these two is I'm actually going to make them both silver, and then they'll match with the hinges. So I'm going to use the cool grey. I may only use the cool grey, but I will see how it goes. So the centre of this is going to be black, because we're looking inside. But what I'm going to do with, let me have a think. I'll start with the edge first. I want it to be slightly lighter, the edge. So I'm going to fade it towards the middle like that, so some shine in the centre, and a little bit there maybe, and maybe a little bit. So I'll put a bit there and a little bit of shine going up the side like that. So we haven't pressed hard and done lots of grey over the whole thing, and hopefully it gives the impression of a little bit of shine. And do a similar thing on the centre. We'll want it to be quite a hard line around the edge first of all, because then it makes it look like this edge piece is standing out slightly, which I think it is supposed to be. Like that. And then I'm going to just sort of fade it a little bit towards the middle to make it look more silvery and shiny. So I'm just pressing fairly lightly and doing a little bit less. Leaving white is a good way, but I don't want to leave white around the keyhole too much. I'm just going around that a little bit, and there are bits of white in there, and I hope that looks quite shiny. The little screws on there are a little bit tricky. Again, like these, they're quite small. I might just gently brush over them with the smallest amount of grey, just so they look silver. So that's that. We'll come back and do that bit in a minute. We'll move on to the handle. And I'm going to keep this quite simple. I'm just going to do it a little bit darker here and fade it towards the middle. I've been reading and getting distracted by Facebook while I was colouring this. I'm just having a look to see if that shine is okay, and I'm happy with that. I'm going to grab a black and do the centre of the keyhole. This is just the Ivory Black. And it was talking about, do you give your children pocket money? And I find the whole thing absolutely fascinating, because a lot of people say, oh, I only give them pocket money if they do jobs. You know, I want them to earn it and understand about earning money. Now, I can see that point, but I do jobs in the house and I don't get paid. Why should I pay them for doing chores in the house? They will then always expect to be paid for chores and doing chores, and when they have their own house, they'll find it really begrudge doing those chores because they aren't being paid. So I don't pay mine, I just expect them to help, and they do. They get money each month, which goes into their trust fund, which they can't actually get out until they're 18. And I give them bus fares and lunch money and things like that if they need it. Now, I'm going to put a little, but I know it's sort of, everyone's got a different idea of how to do it. Some people think they should have money to spend to teach them the value of money, but mine know that anyway. They know how much things cost, they know how much household bills are going to be, and that's why they don't want to spend money. They want to hold on to it. So I'm going to do some shadow underneath this here, because it's going to be standing slightly upright from the surface. I'm just going to put a little bit of black under there, and up the side really. It's just a tiny touch and I think it makes a difference. And we're going to do the same thing under the handle. So under this part and then below really. The shadow would fall below, we wouldn't really see anything above. So we're just doing it underneath. This is quite thick, this line underneath, but it might not be sitting completely flush against the box. It might create a little bit more of a shadow. So that's our sort of bits and bobs on the chest. Now I thought I would talk you through some of the jewels and things as well. Now I've decided that all my beads, they're very, very small. Even though this is a big picture, a big page of the book, the beads are really teeny. So what I'm going to do with those is I'm going to use a glitter pen and just make them really bright and shiny. So I'm not going to do that now because I'm just going to end up smudging it everywhere. And I will probably do different colours, but I'll probably do really, really intense colours. So if I've got a dark blue or emerald greens, reds, that sort of thing. So that's what I'm doing with those. With the diamonds and gems, I'm going to use pencil though, and with the crowns and things. I'll show you some of those in a minute. What I am going to do, just show you quickly, is inside the chest we have gaps in between some of the items, and I'm going to use my burnt umber. Sorry, that was very blurred, wasn't it? To colour that space in. So I'm thinking it's going to be dark in there. There's a lot of treasure piled up, creating shadows. But it's a wooden chest. I also don't want it to sort of get muddled with the black that we've got around the outside. See here we've got a bit there. So that was my decision. You obviously can do it how you want. You might think the chest is lined with some sort of velvet, so it would be red or blue or green, but I want the jewels to stand out, so I'm not really sure what's going on there. So I'm just going to do it in this sort of brown. I think that's not a bit of crown. I don't think it would come down there. Just a little tricky to sort of quite work out what's what really here. But it can help you to fill in this detail, so then you can sort of identify which bits are gaps and which bits are objects, which is quite handy. So we've got these cubes or cuboids of some sort of nuggets, gold or silver. We've got coins. I've told you what I'm doing with the beads, so I'm not going to do... If you don't have a gel pen or a glitter pen or anything, what I would do with the beads is colour them in a really intense pencil, a really dark colour, and then, I mean, here it needs to stand out from the black, so maybe a red there, and then get a white pen if you've got one and do a little dot to make it look like it's shiny. That's how I would do it if I was doing it in pencil, but as I say, I'm not going to do those in pencil. I'm going to show you some of the jewels. Now, with jewels, diamonds, rubies, whatever they might be, we need to be careful about picking a colour. Let's say I want a pink jewel, let's say. Now, this is Lavender Light. This is pink, but it's pastel. Now, think about that colour. You wouldn't find a pastel, milky type coloured jewel, so that isn't the right choice. However, if you went for probably this one, would be a little bit better. It's still not perfect though. I would be more likely to use these purple light, which is what we've used on the octopus. I'm not going to use that because that's a bit more of a sort of intense colour. I think what I'm going to do is actually do a green one. And I want a sort of emeraldy greeny colour. I'm just looking to see what I've got here. There might be an emerald, I'm not entirely sure. Sorry, I'm just having a quick look. No, there isn't. I think I'm going to go for the Pthalo Green. I feel like that's quite emeraldy. It's a bluey green. I'll show you. Like that. And which one should we do? Let's do this hexagonal one here. It's a little bit tricky, I think. Now, we have this big flat surface and then we have these edges, and so this is sort of facing us, I would imagine. So what I'm going to do is do it really, really, really lightly, like that, and then put a few darker sort of lines so it looks like it's glittery and catching the light. For these edges, I'm thinking I usually do them a little bit darker where they meet, and then lighter towards the middle with a gap, so they look like they're shining. You can see that's significantly darker than the top because I'm thinking this is catching the light. I know it's at a funny angle, but that's how I tend to do them. Okay, so that's our sort of emerald. You might want to make it a little bit darker. It's actually quite pale. I'm thinking it would be quite intense, wouldn't it? So let's go over with another layer, and actually then the shine shows up more. I think the top might be a little bit paler on the side. There we are. So there's our one gem. I know we're a bit far away. I'm a bit worried about zooming in because it goes a little bit blurred. It might be okay. I think the camera is struggling today a little bit. Yeah, it looks too blurred to me. Let's take it out a bit. Now that's one gem. Now we have these sort of diamond looking ones. I'll show you one of those. What should we do? What colour? I'm sort of don't want to do purple and pink because that's the colour of the octopus. So, and yeah, let's pick a blue. I will go for quite a deep blue. That's nice. This is called, oh, it's not that dark. Yeah, let's go for this. Ultramarine Violet. Which is cool. Yeah, it's still looking a bit blurred because it's quite a dark one. And we'll do this one that's lying on its side. And what I think about here is like, this is a flat face that's facing us. This one is angled, and this one is angled and shadowed. And these are sort of chipped out. So this flat face is going to be the lightest. So I'm going to start there and just put a really pale amount there. And then this one will be darker. So I'm going to put a darker layer, particularly at the bottom, and less at the top. Just sort of shade it through. Like that. My pencil isn't sharp enough. Hold on. Bear with me. Sorry. Okay, and then this sort of underpiece, the same again. It's a bit darker at the bottom and lighter up here. And then hopefully that looks, it sort of emphasises the shape, I hope. Now up here again, I think this face would be facing us. So I'm thinking that's a bit lighter. And then this one a bit darker. And this one a bit darker. And that one lighter like that. So that is our, whatever that is, whatever, I don't know what you call it. Just darkening some areas a tad. That's better. So there's that one, and this would do in a similar way. Obviously it's facing a slightly different direction. Let's have a look at a coin. It's still looking blurred to me. A coin. Now, what I would do for the coin is to pick a yellow that looks as close to gold as I can. To me, that looks quite gold. It does with the naked eye, maybe not so much in the camera. This is Terracotta Light. I'm going to give it, I mean, if you're not sure, scribble it on a piece of paper and see how it goes. So I'm not going to do too many different colours in the coins because they're quite little. So what I am going to do though is to put more colour on the edge and less towards the centre to emphasise that shape and give some shine like that. And then on the top, what I tend to do is put more colour on the edge and a bit less in the middle. So again, it looks a little bit shiny. So that's my coin. You could add some darker brown on these edges if you wanted to, but I'm trying to keep it quite simple. Now we can do some silver, a silver coin as well in a very similar way. We'll do this one silver. So basically I've got my cool grey, and I'm going to do, oops, a darker bit there, and a bit here and here, and it looks a little bit shiny. Okay, so that's okay. Now what else have we got in here? We have got the nuggets. Now I think I would probably do them gold, so I'm grabbing my Terracotta Light again and show you what I would probably do is a little layer all over, and then think about which side, because it's a cuboid, it's going to be catching the light more on some sides than the others. I'm thinking this is going to be my darker side, so I'm making that darker but leaving a sort of shinier bit, and this one I'm going to make it dark at the bottom and a bit shinier at top, and then this one probably a bit on each edge and a sort of shiny top like that. I've done it quite roughly. Now you can use white to emphasize the glow, and same on here, you can use white over the black lines to make it look more shiny. Sometimes that works well and sometimes it doesn't. Now with castles, if you put white on top of blue, it goes pink, so it's not going to work. So I wouldn't use it on these, and this might work on this colour, but experiment on some scrap, because you don't want your white to go pink. It's just not going to give you the effect that you're looking for, and I've not found any pen that works. It's just because it absorbs the pigment from the pencil because it's so vibrant. With polychromos that never happens, so if you want to use a white pen on something and it to stay white for sure, polys are your pencil of choice. So I'm going to do various coloured gems and things, mix up the silver and gold a little bit in the here. With the crowns, I'm going to pay a little bit more attention to them, and because they're slightly larger, and do a couple of colours rather than just the one. I could show you actually the full crown down here, which I thought I might show you. Can you see here? So I've got this Terracotta Light, and my tip would be, if you've got any set of pencils, find the one that looks most like gold to start with, then take a darker pencil than that, a brown. So I'm going to grab, so I've got this terracotta, I'm going to grab, whoops, it's not going to stay, this sepia. No, I don't like the sepia, it's too orangey. The Van Dyck Brown, and a lighter yellow, so let's say this one's probably the best one, the Naples Yellow. Okay, so we've got three colours. We're going to keep it quite simple still, just the three colours. So we start with our darkest. Okay, I can't push my book anymore. I've got my keyboard. There we go. My keyboard was in the way. I can't zoom in because it's near the bottom. I hope that you can see well enough. So I'm going to mark the areas that I think will be the darkest on here. So these points of the crown that are behind, put some shadow in there and in there quite lightly, because we're going to go over the top of that. I'm sorry it's so small. And we're going to put a little bit of brown on the edge of the crown on both sides. Now with the jewels on the crown, you can do them in a glitter pen, so if you write over them, it doesn't matter. But it's up to you how you do that. And a little bit of brown here, you could do them in pencil. I'm going to attempt to do them in pencil, but I don't know if I'll succeed. So that's it for the brown at the moment, and I'm now going in with the Terracotta Light. And I'm going to complete these back pieces because I want these to look quite dark. So I'm going to go over that brown in quite a lot of layers, and then go to the tip, leaving a tiny white edge at the very top so it looks shiny. Now you could go over the black lines with some white pen, but again you have the same risk that you run with because of their castles. The white pen absorbs the colour and looks a bit weird. Now castles do their own white gel pen in their set of gel pens, but I've found it to be completely useless. I don't know if I've tried it on top of castle pencils, but when I try it on other pencils, it just seems to disappear. It's the oddest thing. So as you can see, I've just taken the colour inwards, and I'm trying to fade it a little bit now. And we're going to add our last colour. I'm just going to sharpen it. So as I said, that is the Naples Yellow. And I'm actually going to put it on top of these back bits because it just adds the tiniest bit of warmth, really, and on top of this. And then to the middle. It's actually quite brown. I'm going to use a different colour as well. This is not as yellow as I had hoped. I want a really vibrant yellow. What's that? We use the Cadmium Yellow light, I think. It looks nice and vibrant. I should just sharpen it. Sorry about that. Just gives us an extra layer of colour, I guess. So we'll do again, we'll go over the top, and hopefully the vibrancy will show through. Luckily this paper takes lots of layers, so we can get away with it. And take that colour towards the middle, leaving a white gap like we have been to show it shiny. Now you could do these in metallic pens. If you feel more confident and comfortable, do so. Now this pen has left a scratchy orange mark there. Some pencils do that. Even Prismas, I've had it with one poly once as well. It's just when the pigment isn't properly mixed together. Right, there we go. So what I'm going to do as a final touch on this, you don't have to do this, is to take a dark, oops, trying to move the pencils out of the way, to take a dark brown. So I'm going to use the burnt umber, and I'm just going to do a few darker bits, so right in there like that, underneath the stones. I'm not going to go under those little ones because I'm not going to get an accurate line, and along this line I'm going to try and fade that a little bit, not do it all the way along to the centre where I've got that shine. There we go. Okay. So now we need to do these gems in the crown. I think it looks nicer, maybe if the big ones are one colour and the little ones are another. I'm looking for a red. We've got a Cadmium Red, which is rather nice. So we use that for the little gems, and because they're small, we just colour them. There's nothing we can do, it's too tiny a space, so just colour them in. Nice bit of red. And I'm going to use the Pthalo Green that I used for this one here, for the big ones. Now these are slightly bigger, so we can put a little bit of shading in. What I'm going to do is make them very dark at the bottom, slightly lighter at the top with a white gap in the centre. You can just about fit it in to this little space. If you can't, don't worry, you can use a gel pen. You could use a gel pen to put a dot in on each of the red ones as well. I'm not going to, because I think I'll miss. I'm not very accurate with my my old gel pens. How are we doing for time? Time, good o'clock. Let's have a think. I think I'll talk you through a few things. I'm going to do the clock with a silver face and a gold outside, I think. I'm not sure, probably do a silver goblet with a mix of silver and gold coins scattered about here. I'll do a different coloured gem to what I've done on the crown. The lamp, not sure, maybe silver with some gold coins. I think it will show up better against the chest if it's silver. So that's that. And he's holding various treasures, which you can't see. I'll do a similar thing. And as I say, I'm going to use the sparkly gel pens for the beads. Let me think. Well, one thing, I'm not entirely happy with the colour I've used here and here now. I used the Terracotta Light, and I'm thinking that the light Cadmium Yellow is actually a really nice colour, and I'm just going to add a little bit to this, and I think it will make it look a little bit more gold. I'm just going to put it on top. I think it looks a bit nicer, like that. So I'm going to do that for all my gold. I will do the two colour mixture of the two colours. I think it looks nicer. So that's that. Let me just, I'm just having a quick look around at what we've got going on. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go away and finish all the treasures. Yeah, and then I'll come back. We've got our bottle as well. I'll talk you through that one in a minute. And then we'll come back and I'll come up with some ideas for the fish. Not sure. And we'll think about backgrounds and flowers and things. So we'll think about that in our next video. So I'll just do the bottle. Now inside the bottle is a piece of paper. There's a great colour called Davy's Grey in these pencil set, which looks sort of grey brown. And I'm going to use that really lightly for the paper, because I don't want it to just be white. I want it to look aged. And I think that's a good one to do. Now the bottle is a bit tricky because it's obviously see-through. And what are we going to see through it? You know, we've got all sorts of treasures behind it and things like that. I think the best way to deal with it is to do it in a sort of grey colour. We've got our cool grey, but we don't want it to look silver. So we've got to do it really lightly. So I'm just going to do a few touches of grey here and here. And on this corner, just the smallest amount, and then maybe a little bit darker on this bit because oh, that's the cork, because it's a bit thicker, the glass. And we've got the cork to do, which I think I might try the sepia for the cork. So I've got the sepia, and I'm just putting a layer down. Again, it's quite hard for you to see, I think. I'm going to make it slightly darker on each edge and fade that in to try and make the cork look more rounded. And cork does have a sort of dotty pattern on it, which you could try to do, but I think it's a little small. I think I'm just going to leave it like that. So that is that. I might add a little bit of this sepia just to the paper to make it look even more old. But I don't want it too dark. There we go. I like that. That's fine. So I'm going to go away and finish that. If there's anything I think is particularly tricky or whatever, I will talk you through it in the next video. But I think I've gone through most things, so it should all be okay. So thank you for watching. I hope that was all right for you. I'll share a photo at the end with the all the elements finished, and so you can decide whether you want to go silvers or golds or whatever you quite want to do. Obviously, as I said, you can. Quick tip: if you decide to use a metallic pen, now look at the coins. We've got a top and an edge. If you colour that whole thing in metallic pen, it will just turn into a different shape. So try to leave that black line on the item. You can't leave that, those lines, but try and leave that black line. The same with these square nuggets. Try and leave the black line there, or go over it in a white pen, just so that you can see the shape a little bit more clearly. But, you know, have fun and do what feels right for you. So thank you for watching and happy colouring.